And good morning, Newton Falls. Hello, everybody. My name is Dave Lynch. I'm the city manager here in Newton Falls. And on Tuesday and Friday mornings, we have our morning update. We started these things 7 days a week to talk about the COVID effect. And we still are involved in heavy discussions with businesses and government agencies about how the COVID-19 era has been affecting us. But we're down to 2 mornings a week, Tuesday and Friday mornings at no cost to the taxpayer. We're delighted to have this program. A couple things you should be aware of. We've been dealing with some issues around town in terms of the COVID activity. And yesterday, the Newton Falls Municipal School District was closed because of an issue in a COVID positive that was apparently involved in one of the families in the Newton Falls School District. But it's my understanding the schools are back and operating again today, which is very good news. The schools have done a great job. My hat's off to Superintendent Rocco Aducci, who has implemented a system where parents have chosen virtual learning at home or in-person learning over at the schools, and they've been doing just a terrific job of keeping us apprised as to what's happening and keeping the families aware of what's going on. So nice job, and our hats off to all the teachers, principals, and various staff members, and of course at the top, Rocco Aducci. I always feel like I'm announcing the fourth person in the batting order for a major league team, Rocky Aducci. I also want to offer my congratulations because during the waning moments of last night's council meeting, the city council came out of executive session and entertained a motion to appoint Adam Zimmerman as the Ward 1 councilman, taking the place of Zach Savette. The vote was 4-0, unanimous, in favor of Adam Zimmerman. So congratulations to Adam Zimmerman and to all the applicants, all three of them, Mr. King and Mr. Kropp as well, who applied for that position. It's not for the faint of heart to put your name out there, whether it's for an appointed position or for its elective position for the municipal government. So congratulations to all of them, and in particular Mr. Zimmerman, who was unanimously appointed the Ward 1 councilman. Well, this morning you're either going to find our topic scintillating and exciting because you like the idea of infrastructure, or you might find it a little bit boring. But as Councilman Bariak says at quite a few of our council meetings, infrastructure is where it's at in terms of the way municipal government spends money. Infrastructure, infrastructure, infrastructure. And we have on our live line to talk about two big projects taking place in Newton Falls very shortly. An individual who is from the city's consulting engineer. The engineering firm is called Thomas Folk and Associates. And the consulting engineer from Thomas Folk that we interface with on a regular basis to get our projects done is a person none other than outstanding engineer Paul Kurtz. And he's on the live line right now. Good morning, Paul. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
Great. Thanks for coming on the line today, Paul. Well, I want to talk about the two big projects, and let's talk about the one that City Council approved last night. We have a project called the Medley Avenue Storm Sewer Project. And before I talk about what happened last night, Paul, what is the Medley Avenue Storm Sewer Project?
It's a sanitary sewer project. It's basically replacing a sanitary sewer, a gravity sewer on Medley Avenue. There used to be a school in the lot next to that, and we're going to move the sewer over into that lot, and the existing gravity sewer will become a force main.
Okay, so gravity sewer becomes a force main. So how does that help the community? What is that? What's the positive result? Why are we seeking to do this?
My understanding is it was to help reduce the total amount of flow that would be received at the wastewater treatment plant.
Right,
right. The existing gravity sewer lets a lot of extra water in that's not necessarily sanitary sewer.
Sure.
And by replacing that with a new gravity sewer, we'll be able to eliminate that, and then the new force main will be placed inside the old pipe. It'll be a new force main pipe placed inside the old gravity sewer pipe.
Sure. Well, the ultimate net impact, as I understand it, is that we'll have a positive impact on those people that were worried about sewer backups in their basements, and that's a good thing, isn't it, Paul?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's always been an issue with an older sewer system. And so to the folks on Medley Avenue, relief is coming. Now, Paul, the reason I want to have you on the program is something really amazing was talked about at the council meeting last night. The engineering estimate for the cost of this Medley Avenue project was about $160,000. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And last night, and Tom, if you could show the letter that Paul issued, you can see, folks, you can zoom in a little bit. Paul, this is a letter from you to the city, and just tell people what this letter says.
The letter of recommendation?
Yes.
Yeah, we received 10 bids from different contractors for that project, and the lowest bid was $108,880, which would be a savings of a little more than $51,000 compared to our engineer's estimate.
Yeah. And Tom, if you can scroll through the remaining pages, we have some pages which show the exhibits of the other bids that came in from different companies. The winning bid that you recommend is a company called Underground Express. And Tom, I'm not seeing them on. There we go. There they are on my monitor there. And Paul, as I go through those, if you'll scroll through the second and third page, Tom, of those exhibits, you can see that the high bid, Paul, was $175,000. Now, Paul, that's a big range. A bid of approximately $109,000 to a bid of $175,000. 10 bids, so that's a lot of aggressive bidding. Were you surprised to see such a big range in cost bids from the different companies?
That's not really all that unusual. There are a couple of really high bids, and I think 8 of the bids were lower than our estimate, and 2 were significantly higher.
Sure.
That seems to happen pretty regularly.
Okay. And then the winning bid was from a company called Underground Express, and their bid was approximately $109,000, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. And that is a very significantly lower amount below the engineer's estimate. So, as you mentioned, we're looking at a savings just on this one project off the engineer's estimate of around $50,000. You have to admit that's a pretty significant savings for a project of this size, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But that's a contractor that we've worked with several times, where they do good work and we trust them. So we were very pleased with that bid.
Yeah. And I want to mention one other thing that may not be apparent because you don't see the bid specifications. The Ohio Public Works Commission, which is helping us with this project, requires that the bidders be bidders that are paying something called prevailing wage, which basically means, Paul, this is going to be a union worker contract. Isn't that true?
Yes. It doesn't necessarily have to be a union contractor, but they do have to pay union rates.
Right. And that's an important part of the bidding process here in government. We try to make sure, well, we do make sure by law that prevailing wage is paid, which means union rates are paid to all the workers on the project. And to save that much money and making sure it's a union rate job, Paul, we've got a lot of positive things to look forward to in that project, don't we?
Yes.
Now, Paul, one other thing before we close out a discussion of Medley Avenue, and congratulations to the City Council for acting so quickly to help us confirm these bids. Paul, this is going to be a spring project, though, right? I mean, we're not gonna get these sewer lines replaced before the snow flies, right?
Uh, they could probably, as far as I'm concerned, they could start as soon as they want to.
Well, they're allowed to start in the spring, though, right?
It won't be completed until spring with all the
Okay.
cleanup and everything.
Right,
but
right,
they
right.
could, yeah, they could put the pipe in now.
Wow.
I'm not
Okay.
sure when they intend to start, but it doesn't. Sewer pipe can be done in the winter.
Well, Paul, I'm learning news hot off the presses from you right now. I did not realize that. So they can be completed in the spring, but they may actually initiate the work sometime during the wintertime, right?
They may, yes. I don't know what their project schedule looks like yet, but they
Okay.
could, yes.
Yeah. Well, I presume you've got to have a conference with the contractor, and we'll learn more about that as time goes on. But the point is that the bidding process that we went through has yielded outstanding results for Medley Avenue.
Yes, it did.
And Paul, I want to say thank you to you. Your firm wrote all the bid specifications. In others did the design work for this project, and we're just very pleased that we've got an engineer who has so aggressively worked on getting our infrastructure done. So, thank you to you and to the rest of your team over at Thomas Folk and Associates.
No, thank you.
All right, now we're going to talk about another project which also surprised us with the technique we used to save money. And we're going to talk about the resurfacing of First Street. Now, Paul, you and your company wrote the design specifications for the resurfacing of First Street. And what was your engineering estimate for First Street? You want to let everybody know about that?
Our engineer's estimate for that project was $230,000.
$230,000, and that's quite a bit of work. That First Street is going to come in, and Tom, you've got an exhibit on First Street as well that you can throw up there, and you can see on the two columns on the right, the one in the middle. It'll go down a little bit lower, Tom, if you can. You see there it is, the engineer's estimate. $230,000, and that will be all the way from the Braceville line near Route 5 all the way to Main Street, and so that's quite a bit of asphalt, and there is the engineer's estimate at $230,000, and yet, Paul, we were able to get the project done at a cost of approximately how much? Can you help us with that?
192,000.
And there's the comparison there, folks. $230,000 on the left side, and then $192,000 from Shelley and Sands. But we took an unusual route to get to Shelley and Sands, Paul, didn't we? You want to sort of explain the way we were able to lock in those low numbers from Shelley and Sands, the contractor?
The city already had a contract with Shelley and Sands to pave some other streets in Newton Falls, and we were able to persuade them to just add this project to the contract they already had and keep the same unit prices for the various materials involved.
Yep. So it was really, we did a record number of resurfacing streets based on the contract, which was bid, by the way, and awarded to Shelley and Sands. And they agreed to keep those unit prices and include First Street in that project. And by the way, if that had not happened, in all likelihood, First Street really wouldn't be resurfaced until next year. Is that a fair statement, Paul?
I'm sorry? What?
If we had not awarded to Shelley and Sands, in all likelihood, First Street would have had to wait until next year. Isn't that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, by the time we would have been able to get it bid out, it would have been probably too late to do the asphalt work. That can't be done in the wintertime.
Yeah, that's right. And one thing that people should realize is that the Shelley and Sands low prices were the subject of a bid by the engineer of Trumbull County. Trumbull County bids out the resurfacing work for, I don't know, maybe about 13 to 14 to 15 communities throughout Trumbull County. And that's how they get some really, really great prices. And this year, we were able to get Shelley and Sands to include those low unit prices to get the work done right here in 2020. And Paul, don't know if you're aware of it, but they're talking about getting that project underway sometime beginning next week.
That's great.
Yeah, and of course, your company, Thomas Folk and Associates, will be doing the inspection work, and you also wrote the bid specifications for that project, Paul. When the resurfacing gets done, I realize you have to go through this inspection process, but do you inspect it as it's happening, or do you wait until the project's done and then send out the inspectors? What's the process there?
We have an inspector there when the contractor is there to make sure that they're following the plans and the specs.
Okay.
And also to keep track of everything that needs to be paid for.
Sure, sure. And I'll remind everybody that the First Street project is also being done at union rates, so that those fine men and women that adhere to the requirements, quality requirements, and especially conditions of work and pay levels that the union requires is being adhered to with this project as well. Is that right, Paul?
That's correct.
Paul, just to kind of look at a bigger picture of our infrastructure, Newton Falls was awarded 3 projects by the Ohio Public Works Commission during this last round of funding. And I went and checked the records. Newton Falls has never gotten 3 projects in one round before. To what do you attribute this unusual success in getting funding from the state agency to help little old Newton Falls?
Good luck.
You're supposed to say outstanding engineering and great management in the city.
Yeah, we did put together good pre-application packages, but it's, as you said, it's very difficult to get that many projects in the same year.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I attended a number of those meetings, and you and I have made a few speeches on the floor of the District Public Works Evaluation Committee. And Paulo, tell us something I noticed, that you and I were standing up and making speeches why we should be awarded these projects. Meantime, not all communities had people that were vocalizing during those meetings the reasons why they should be awarded these projects. Do you think some of these other communities are more timid, or are we in Newton Falls just full of a bunch of big mouths?
Probably some of the other communities are haven't got people to send, haven't got the time, or I'm not sure. Maybe just they're timid, as you said.
Sure, sure. Well, you know, they say the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and we've certainly been squeaking, but the fact of the matter is that having professional engineering help us with the applications is a tremendous advantage to us, Paul, because one of the things that the Public Works Evaluation Committee looks at is, are your design specifications ready to go? There's a terminology that's used in the trade. It's called shovel ready. And Paul, your firm has helped us get to the position of being shovel ready on these projects, haven't you?
Yes, we have. That does make a difference if the committee knows that your project is ready to go.
Yeah, and I think also, Paul, because we're getting these projects done quickly, as we move forward in the future, further projects I think are going to get funded in Newton Falls because we're getting a reputation of not only getting the projects done on time, but early and within budget. And when you get a reputation like that, the fund granting agencies are a little more likely to give you the opportunity to get more projects. Would you say that's a fair statement?
Yes, I would.
Okay. All right. Well, Paul, you have proven to be an outstanding engineer, and look at all the great things that are happening in this town because of the help that you have given us. I also want to say thank you to City Council. They have authorized the city manager to continue to take this aggressive approach to getting infrastructure done in our town and going through the bidding process and applying for projects. And it has been, if engineering and infrastructure can be called something exciting, well, on a scale of 1 to 10, things have been at about a 10 level over the last year or so here in Newton Falls. So, Paul, thank you. And also to Jeff D'Onofrio and all the other fine folks over at Thomas Folk and Associates as you continue to guide us in realizing our ambition to improve our infrastructure here in Newton Falls. You've been a great asset to us, Paul, so thanks again.
Thank you.
All right, that is Paul Kurtz of Thomas Folk and Associates, and that brings us to the conclusion of another outstanding, if I do say so myself, version of the Newton Falls Morning Update. We'll be back again on Friday morning. I think we're going to try to have a broadcast live of a Newton Falls Varsity women's volleyball game tonight, and that is over at Zorn Gymnasium. Remember to bring your masks. We believe the game will go on because school is in session. That's usually the indicator that a game is going to go forward. And of course, as you know, the volleyball girls are having an outstanding season. The game starts at 7 o'clock. We'll probably do a little pregame around 6:30 or so. But they've just been doing some great things. Courtney Hankins is having a great season. Atlanta Spollinger. And then especially Bree Hudson, who I have nicknamed Admiral Boom. And so remember, girls, when I'm at that game tonight, and Admiral Boom, when you've got a great kill and you hear me yell boom from the stands, it's not a boo, it's a boom, because you are really hitting the ball with authority, and you've been a great asset to the high school. Well, folks, that brings us to the end of another one of our broadcasts. Thanks for tuning in. As I say at the end of each one of these, God bless America, and God bless the city of Newton Falls.